Welcome, everybody. My name is Kristen Taylor, Assistant Director at the Office of Career, Professional Development, and Diversity Initiatives here at Thurgood Law. I'm happy to present to you an information session with Allstate Insurance. They're going to be discussing Allstate and careers in insurance defense. And I'm going to pass it over to Lisa Chastain, who's Senior Managing Counsel for the Texas office, and she will introduce the other members of her team who are going to be participating in the panel discussion. And thank you again for hosting this session, Allstate and Lisa.
No problem. You're welcome. Well, I just want to say hi to everyone. Welcome. Happy afternoon. It's early, 12:05. And I just want to introduce myself briefly. My name is Lisa Chastain. I'm the Senior Managing Counsel for Texas for the Staff Counsel offices for Allstate. With me today, I have T. Washington, who is a counsel in our Houston office. I have Janine Campanero, who is also a counsel in our Houston office. I have Idris Ashimi, who is a counsel in our Dallas office. And also joining us today is Gerard Gregoire, who's the VP of Staff Counsel for the West for Allstate, and Anthony Getty, who is a lead counsel in the Baltimore office. We'll be running this presentation today. We're just here today to kind of talk to you about Allstate and what a career in insurance defense means working for companies like Allstate. And, at any time, one of us, maybe, T and Idris and Janine and Gerard may, and Anthony as well, may, provide some additional information while I do this presentation. So just real quick, just a little background on me, just so you know, I have been actually with Allstate for 5 years. I started as a trial attorney at Allstate and have moved my way up to the Senior Managing Counsel. I've been practicing law for approximately 20 years. T and everyone at T, Idris and Janine, if you could just provide a little background on yourselves, that'd be great.
Hey, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm T. Philip Washington. I'm currently serving as counsel in the Houston Staff Counsel office. Before coming to Allstate 4.5 years ago, I worked as a prosecutor in Galveston County, Texas for 7 years. And before that, I worked for about a decade as a classroom English teacher and college administrator.
Good afternoon. My name is Janine Campanero. I have been in the Houston office with Allstate for just over 4 years. I actually just had my 4-year anniversary with the company. Prior to that, I was actually in New York practicing family law. I was a divorce attorney in New York City. And my husband is in the military. So we ended up in Texas, and here we are. And I started as a trial attorney. I'm now counsel level with T in the Houston office.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Idris Ashimi, and I serve as counsel at the Dallas Staff Counsel office. I've been with Allstate for about 2.5 years, and prior to that, I was a Dallas County prosecutor for about 5 years. And I'm proud to say that I am an alumni of Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and I graduated in 2013. So it's a pleasure and a privilege, and honestly a blessing to kind of have this full circle experience with you guys. Thanks.
Great. Gerard and Nancy, I don't know if you wanted to say anything or if you want me to move on.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gerard Gregoire. I am the Vice President in charge of litigation services for the West region with Allstate. I, along with Idris, also have the privilege of being a graduate of Thurgood Marshall in 1998. I've also, with the company, had the opportunity to move my family 3 times. Not sure if my wife's too happy about that, but previously ran the Houston office, and then from there ran the region in the Pacific Northwest, and then from there ran the Midwest, which in the next gradual ascension then became the director for the East Coast. So with that, looking forward to a great discussion today, and thanks for attending.
My name is Anthony Getty. I am lead counsel in Baltimore. I've been with the company, I think the longest at 29 years. I spent a few years in claims, and for the last 18 years, I've been practicing law. I was a trial attorney for a long period of time, and I've become lead counsel for our DC Metro office, and now I'm lead counsel for our Baltimore office. So look forward to a great discussion today.
Thank you. So First of all, to start off today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Allstate. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Allstate. You've seen the commercials on TV. You've seen the good hands everywhere. I always see them every time there's a touchdown at one of the, NCAA football games, which is one of my favorite things. I'm here today to kind of educate you a bit on Allstate and on insurance defense within Allstate. Allstate's not just an insurance company. We do provide obviously policies for auto policies, property policies, commercial policies. We also provide personal property protection plans as part of our growth in Allstate, but we are much more than just an insurance company. Allstate is a company that likes to work on a lot of different initiatives. Right now, we're working on moving into a digital environment as an insurance company. And kind of moving into the future, which I think is very exciting and a great place for Allstate to be moving to. The future of Allstate right now is moving towards an all protection company. I don't know if you've seen the commercials on TV. There's the one with the house going down the street, and it's not just your car and your auto. We're looking to protect our customers and our insurers as a whole. So our focus is, to not just take care of your vehicle. We're trying to take care of our insurers as a whole when they need it most. So that's Allstate as a whole. One of the biggest initiatives that we've been working on the last couple of years, which I find very exciting, is we're working on diversity inclusion. And they've just added a new aspect of that, which is equity this year. At Allstate, diversity inclusiveness is one of our core values. Everybody in the company is expected to live into these core values. And I find it exciting that we're working on this and we're building into this into not only our products, but into our business itself. One of the things that I find exciting and that I'm a member of in Allstate, and I'm not sure if some of the other members of my presenters today are part of this, is we have 11 what are called employee resource groups. They're called ERGs that are an open forum for employees within Allstate where we can talk, share interest, develop and collaborate on different areas that we're interested in. And we're trying to work on, there's several different, like I said, there's 11, but we have the Allstate Women's Network, AWIN. I'm a member of that network. This is an opportunity for women to get together and kind of collaborate and talk about career development. We get to talk about where we want to go on our careers. How do we get there? We have Allstate Pride. Another example is the African American Working Network within Allstate. The Allstate's veteran engagement team and supporters, and as well as the Young Professionals Organization, which I find the Young Professionals Organization is very exciting, especially for new lawyers or new people who come into Allstate, new employees. As a young professional, I know when I started my career over 20 years ago, I didn't have much guidance. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And so one of the things that Allstate does is try to focus on this for our employees. And so that's just one of the major initiatives that we've been working on lately. We've made a commitment to diversity and inclusiveness in Allstate and made it one of our core values that we're expected of all our employees within Allstate. Another thing about Allstate that you may not know, or just to show some of the awards and recognitions we have, Allstate is ranks as 82 on a Fortune 500 companies in the United States. We are one of the top 50 companies for diversity. We have Corporate Equality Index for 2009-2020 for the Human Rights Campaign. We were one of the top companies for executive women and a National Association for Female Executives. We also have the Civic 50 Award, and as well as the Military Friendly Employer Gold Award. This goes back to my last slide when diversity and inclusiveness. Allstate, again, has made this a commitment. And so besides obviously our full protection plan that we're looking for our customers, we're also looking to create a diverse and inclusive environment for not only our customers, but for our employees. So today, one of the reasons I wanted to kind of meet with everyone today and why I talked to Kristen about having this presentation is I feel that as a lawyer myself and just coming out of law school, that there's a need and room for education as to what insurance defense is and what kind of legal jobs there are available at insurance companies. I mean, I don't know about the audience here. I know that when I was in law school, if someone had said to me, do you want to come and work at an insurance company? I would have been like, doing what? You know, selling auto insurance or something. I didn't understand that as a lawyer, there's a whole host of jobs that are available with insurance companies, and not just, you know, corporate governments or, looking at like investments and business transactions or corporate law. There's also like litigation experience, like actual real litigation experience that you can gain in an insurance company. So one of the departments that we have at Allstate is Department of Law and Regulation. And the Department of Law and Regulation is made up of corporate legal services, which includes corporate governance, dispute resolution services, enterprise business conduct and innovation law, government industry relations, insurance operations law, legal operations, investments, and business transactions. And in addition to that, we have our litigation services, which is where everybody who on our panel today is from, and that is staff counsel and retained counsel. And this is the part that, I've wanted to educate everyone on this call about, is that the litigation services is an ability for attorneys, especially young attorneys coming out of law school, to have the ability to get very real trial experience and very real litigation experience at an insurance company. And I just don't think that it's something that is, that most people understand. I know that when I went to law school, all I knew was what I saw on TV. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I used to play Judge Judy when I was a kid on the porch. And made my sister, be the judge while I sat there and made arguments all the time and drove her insane. And it's interesting because, when I graduated law school and I started interviewing for my first jobs, I interviewed with several private firms in Chicago. And I didn't even realize at the time when I was interviewing with them that they were insurance defense firms, because I don't feel like I had the education on what that was when I was in law school. And it's interesting because my husband is also in insurance defense for another major insurance company who will not be named. And he also told me the other day that his first job interview that he had out of law school, he had the same experience. He's like, I didn't realize until years later when I was actually doing insurance defense that that's what this private firm did. So one of my goals today, and one of our goals, is to kind of educate you a bit on, the opportunities there are working for an insurance company, and that that it's not, insurance companies that aren't just about insurance. There's a lot of opportunities with them for new lawyers that I think are exciting, that can lead to really great career development. So the question is, what is staff counsel? Well, we're litigation professionals, attorneys that represent Allstate as well as insureds and litigation managers throughout 14 senior managing counsel complexes in the United States. So I manage the Texas council or complex for staff counsel. We have another example is we have a senior managing counsel in Louisiana. I'll show you a map on the next slide that shows you where all our complexes are. But each staff counsel office consists of teams of attorneys, paralegals, and administrative assistants. In my complex, I have 5 offices. I have Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and McAllen. Each complex can consist of anywhere from several different states to, several different offices within one state.
Lisa, can I just jump in really quickly, just for the
Sure.
benefit of our students? Can you explain how the staff counsel relationship works differently from private counsel? So when an insured of Allstate has a claim, what does the staff counsel do as far as their role as the attorney?
Sure, absolutely. So if you were an insured with Allstate, and let's say that you were involved in an auto accident and you rear-ended somebody, and that person in front of you decided that they wanted to sue you for their neck injuries or whatever injuries they're alleging out of the accident. Under the terms of your policy, you are entitled to representation by the staff counsel offices. And as long as there's no conflict or anything that would prevent us from representing you, no ethical, conflicts or any conflicts. For instance, if we had previously, you were a plaintiff in a previous case in our office or something of that nature, we would take the case, it would be referred to the staff counsel office for us to represent you, because it's considered part of the terms of your policy with Allstate. So sometimes there are cases where we might have a conflict that might get sent to retained counsel, and that's where some of our outside counsel that we work with would then defend the insured. But for the most part, if you were involved in an accident, under the terms of your policy, the staff counsel for Allstate would provide you with the defense for that case. Did that answer your question well enough?
Yes, I just wanted a little bit of clarity. Each staff counsel office is like their own law firm. right? But
Actually, we're a national law firm.
yes,
Model for all
Mhm.
states. So what I'm showing here on this map now, this is a map of all the complexes that we have across the United States for Allstate. Each color represents a different complex. As you can see, Texas is green. I apologize I tried to blow it up as much as I could to get everybody's name on there, and it was a little rough to get it blown up that big, but we do have 14 different complexes. We are considered a national law firm. That's the model that we have adopted, but we do have separate offices within each state, but we are a national law firm model. And actually a quite large one. So the types of cases that we handle in our staff counsel office, I gave you a brief example just now about an auto accident case. I would say the majority of the cases that we handle in our offices are third-party bodily injury cases. Those would be cases similar to what what I just mentioned, where you as an insured, if you were involved in an accident and somebody sued you, we would then provide a defense for you on that case. Examples of other types of cases that we handle in our office are first party bodily injury cases. This would be situations where our insured, we would actually be representing Allstate in that matter, defending Allstate in that case. These are bodily injury cases where our insured may have been hit by a tortfeasor who did not have, they were either underinsured or uninsured. And so sometimes they may file a lawsuit against Allstate under the terms of their policy. And we would then defend Allstate on that case if there was a dispute over the value of the damages. We handle first party property cases, much like the first party bodily injury cases. That's defense of Allstate in cases where our insureds maybe had some property damage as a result of storms or hail. That's the majority of those cases. I used to handle those type cases for Allstate before I got into a leadership role. In that situation, again, it's usually a dispute between the insured and Allstate over the terms of or the valuation of the damage to their property. We handle SIU cases as well as EUOs. Janine, do you want to kind of speak to what those cases are about?
Sure. So in Houston, I handle all of the SIU cases. SIU stands for Special Investigation Unit. We sound really cool. What it is an internal organization inside Allstate, where when we get claims that we suspect some kind of fraud, it's referred to the SIU to handle. It's our own internal investigation into those circumstances. So fraud can vary greatly. It could be there's a passenger claiming injuries and we don't believe, based on the statement from our clients or witnesses, that the passenger was actually involved in the accident. We call those a jump-in. We'll investigate, try and get video footage, get witness statements to show that that person really wasn't there. There's staged accidents. A lot of times in Texas, there's automobile garages that set up accidents and try and get insurance money in order to fix them for cars that aren't really being fixed. That's actually emerging a lot now with COVID. And then there's more complex fraud that we're looking into, such as medical providers and relationships with medical providers, with plaintiffs' counsel, with each other. A lot of them will work together. So you'll get a chiropractor who always refers to the same orthopedist, who always refers to the same pain management, and they're all owned by the same person, and making profit by putting people through treatment that they don't really need. And so all of these, when we suspect that fraud is going on, or there's certain doctors on the case that is already an SIU target, get referred to me in the Houston area. And we do have them in Dallas. We have SIU specializing attorneys in Dallas. We have them in our other offices as well, San Antonio. And we get to do an extra layer of investigation, ultimately hoping to either get the case dismissed or get it referred possibly for criminal prosecution, especially in those more complex cases.
Thanks, Janine. The last area of cases that we handle, and we have mainly in our Dallas and our Houston office, but also across the country, we have different complexes that handle it, as well as subrogation. Subrogation is a funny term. I know I actually did it for many, many years. And I remember when I first was asked to do it, I wasn't even sure what subrogation was, and I had to Google it and find out. And I found out that basically we get to be a plaintiff. It's representing Allstate as a plaintiff in an attempt to recover property damage that has been incurred by our insureds as a result of the negligence of another claimant. or another tortfeasor. And so it's actually a pretty cool area of law in that you get to actually recover money for the company, you know, real dollar signs in recovery that you can watch and keep track of. But it's kind of a neat way to bring money back into the company, and you actually are plaintiff side attorney on that type of situation. So what are the benefits of working for staff counsel? You know, the first, and I'd say the most important benefit of working for staff counsel is trial experience. And I actually have it as the last PowerPoint as well. When you are an attorney at a staff counsel office for Allstate, you get the opportunity to have cases assigned to you literally from inception. When the petition is filed and the insured notifies the claims that they've been sued, these cases are sent over and given to the lead counsel within our office, and they assign them to a team of an attorney, a paralegal, and an admin. And the attorney has the responsibility of that file from, you know, the beginning all the way, the inception of the case, all the way to conclusion. You would be in charge of all motion practice regarding that case. You're in charge of the depositions. You're in charge of the mediations. You're in charge of talking with claims and working out your litigation strategy on these cases. So it's real world, real life experience that I don't think a lot of people understand you get from an insurance company. You know, a lot of people get out of law school and they go to private firms, or they go work for the district attorney's office, and they may do some misdemeanor cases or things, you know, at private firms. You may actually just spend most of your time doing research for most of the time. But one of the biggest benefits working for staff counsel is getting to join a law firm and getting that first chair trial experience. We have several, we have attorneys that try cases, probably on average, I'd say, in some of the offices on average, anywhere from 10 to 12 cases a year. Some try more, some try less, but I would say on average it's about 10 to 12 cases a year. So it's real on hands experience, which I think is beneficial, and that you not necessarily are going to get anywhere else. You get CLE that's provided by Allstate. One of the things that our staff counsel offices do, and we've gotten really much better at this, is we do a lot of in-house training within our offices. I know in my Texas complex, anytime anybody wants to do a presentation on a topic, we have an attorney who goes and gets CLE credit from the state bar so that everybody gets free CLE. And we probably have these credit CLEs at least once a month. So it's a great experience for that. You get the benefit of that. You get benefit of mentoring. We have one of the greatest things I like about working at Allstate and for staff counsel is just the camaraderie amongst all the attorneys. We have group chats going on all the time, and we use Teams for a Teams channel where we're constantly sharing new case law, new strategies, discussions about different judges, different ways of handling certain situations in trial. And it's a great mentoring experience. You learn so much, and about being a trial attorney working for staff counsel. And you also have an opportunity for some trial training and advanced trial training. Allstate actually does its own in-house. It's basically like a NEDA training that they do for their attorneys, and it's interesting. Since COVID, we've actually started doing it remotely, which we had some attorneys go do it, I think, this spring, and just the basic training. And we have advanced trial training coming on. It's like people get to go every year and learn it, and so it's a great experience, and provides you tremendous levels of experience at staff counsel. So one of the other things I wanted to highlight about working is, not only is working for an insurance company and working in insurance defense just, your career path. You may come in as a trial attorney at one of the staff counsel offices, but these career paths aren't always linear. One of the things that Allstate, and Gerard maybe can speak on this more if you want to, but we are starting to do rotational opportunities for people in different areas of the law and reg department. Giving people more broad-based knowledge, and so that you're getting the ability to, cross-functional training on different areas in the law and reg. Do you want to speak on that, Gerard?
Sure, Lisa. One of the areas for us as far as focus is trying to make sure that we establish an environment and a culture where our employees see the opportunities for growth and development. So as a result, one of the things we're trying to build out is more of that roadmap, wherein as a new attorney comes on board, they're able to be with us in staff council. If this is something they want to continue to do, they're more than welcome to do that. But we want to also provide opportunities for them to be able to rotate into some of the other areas that Lisa previously discussed. Those include what we call dispute resolution services. And those are individuals that deal more on class action lawsuits and things like that. We also have the corporate side where you're dealing more so with the 10Q, 10K, dealing with securities. We have what we call IOL, Insurance Operations Law, which deals more with the company as a customer. Whereas we handle litigation, those individuals work with the leaders for those different companies within our enterprise, as we call it, to be able to make sure that what they're doing is correct and giving them sound advice. We also have another example of a practice group, Innovation Law, which is focused on providing support and guidance, wherein we have individual general counsels within our operation that provide support for those different companies within Allstate. We have a pretty large company that does not only do insurance. Let me reframe that. We do all different types of insurance. And so for us, it's really just trying to make sure that anyone that comes on board has that opportunity. And so I'm looking forward, if you guys decide to come on board, that we can incorporate you into this new process that we're looking to initiate.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Gerard was, what the next slide talks about, a graduate opportunity that we have. We have an opportunity we're going to be conducting interviews. I believe, Kristen, we have October 1st is the date.
Yes, I think that's right.
And we're going to, this graduate opportunity is that in October 1st, we're going to conduct some interviews with 3Ls. So class of 2022 graduates. And have you an opportunity to come in and sit down, meet with some of the lead counsel in our Texas complex, with the understanding that in May, probably in June of 2022, depending on the openings, that we may have in one of our offices, one of the 5 Texas offices that I mentioned earlier, a position will be offered to one graduate to allow them to come in and basically study for the bar exam. They would be paid to study for the bar exam in July of 2022. And then after the bar is taken in July 2022, the candidate would then work for whichever office we had the opening at as a paralegal until the bar results come in. This allows the candidate or the graduate to learn the processes of Allstate, learn how our systems work. For instance, like we have a Team Connect, which is one of is our document management system. You would get to learn all about our processes when a case comes in and all the steps through it until you get the results of the bar in November of 2022. Once the bar results came in, assuming, the assumption is that you would pass the bar, obviously, then the candidate would be brought in as a trial attorney at the staff counsel office that they're working at. Gerard, if you want to add.
Since this is being recorded, you would also have to pass the professional responsibility aspect too.
Yes,
since we're on the call, right? So the objective being that you are able to practice, much like Idris or T. I'm a former prosecutor. I got recruited out of Thurgood by the DA's office out of Dallas. Got a chance to sit second chair for about 3 months before getting the bar result, and that following Monday was picking a jury. For us, we want to provide that same opportunity. We have 5 offices in the state of Texas, and we look at it as our ability to figure out where in the state of Texas can we put the candidate, be it 1 or 2 individuals, and then that similar salary as you study for the bar. And then after you take the bar, you will sit with us as in more of a paralegal format, but learning, getting a chance to accompany attorneys to mediations, to trial, just learning what you need to learn. And then as soon as you get your bar results, being able to hit the ground running and take advantage of the opportunity.
Thank you, Gerard. So just as a note, before we get to the conclude, question and answer part of the session, one great thing I like about, working for an insurance company is just the benefits that they provide. These are a list of some of the benefits that are provided when if you do, even immediately out of law school or later on in your career, look into it. You get medical benefits, 401k, a pension, PTO. So it's just, I will say for me, it's been one of the greatest parts of my career working for an insurance company. Especially at Allstate, I think it's a full package type job. You get just so many career opportunities, so many development opportunities. And, you know, really that's why I wanted to have this meeting today, to kind of educate people on what I think is a missed opportunity for new graduates when they're looking for jobs. I think that, you know, insurance companies, that kind of get thought of as an afterthought, and it's not something, so we're trying to get a little more information out there. So hopefully people can like maybe look into that when they graduate. So that's the end of the presentation I have. We have time for questions, and you know, we're all here to answer any questions that you guys have. I have provided the contact information for myself as well as my co-presenters. If you want to reach out to us later for, you know, email, you know, you want to screenshot it, take a picture, whatever. I know this is being recorded, but with that, I mean, you know, Janine, Idris, you know, T, did you have anything else you wanted to add that I may have left out?
Well, I just want to highlight, so on my email address where it says Philip, it's 1L, so PHILIP. So if you're taking a screenshot of it, please, you know, make that adjustment. And, you know, I'm definitely here to answer any questions that you may have about, you know, things you're doing in law school, as well as the transition to work at Allstate or in the insurance industry. But I would say that one of the things I have found to be most comforting and exciting and empowering about my time in Allstate, which has been 4.5 years, is that there is, it's a motif that runs through everything we do, and it's 4 words. What do you need? And those 4 words carry out whatever we do. What do you need to reach your personal goals? What do you need to meet your business objectives? What do you need in order to be great at what you do on a daily basis? And if, you know, your supervisors either have the answer or your colleagues help you to find those answers. Lisa talked about working for a large nationwide law firm, and that's exactly what Allstate is. It's some of the best and brightest talent across the nation. And no matter what you're working on, what objectives you have, what things you may believe are unique in your trial case, or in dealing with your clients, or in dealing with our other business partners, someone has done it once, twice, or maybe even 4 times. And so you always have those individuals to lean on to the left and right to give you that benefit. I'd also stress again the benefit of the trial experience that you get. You know, I often tell people that Allstate is essentially the DA's office of the corporate world. 2019, I think I got assigned to trial 24 times. 16 of those times went to a jury verdict. The other 8 settled the night before trial or on the eve of trial. And at one point, I think I tried like 5 cases in 8 weeks. And it sounds like really crazy. Like, how do you get through that much? Well, it's because of the partners that you have to the left and right. Individuals who say, hey, T, you're up for trial. Let me cover this deposition. Let me cover this mediation. And then we're doing the same thing for each other on a daily basis. In fact, for example, I'm here and blessed with this opportunity to talk to you about my experiences today. I have a colleague in the office who said, hey, you have a mediation this afternoon. I'll get that mediation started. You go cover the information that you're going to present to these rising stars at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and then come on in when you get the opportunity afterward. So that element of teamwork permeates everything that we do. We're able to individually and collectively lead and have so many wonderful experiences and accomplishments because of who we are and the shared purpose that we have. So if you're looking at Allstate, and all I can say is that it's a wonderful opportunity.
Are there any questions from anyone in the audience?
We did have a question from Ms. Loeb. Selena, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Kristen. Hi, everyone. I apologize for not having my camera on, but I did have a question about the graduate opportunity timeline. Could you explain more how that would look for someone graduating in December?
Would you like me to cover that, Lisa?
If you could.
Yeah, so someone that's graduating in December would interview, I believe there's a scheduled on-campus interview or virtual interview that Lisa highlighted, and obviously I'm sure Kristen can give you that additional information. We would capture all the different candidates at that time, obviously ranking them. And then as we get towards May and June, we then assess our openings, because for us, it's making sure that as we bring someone on board, that it kind of fits in terms of, from a business standpoint, where do we have that opening? We will then notify the candidate that's selected or candidates that are selected. And at that point, they would come into the office, fill out some paperwork, or virtually, if the Delta variant does not resolve itself, they would virtually give the information, just like we've been continuing to hire people virtually. But then at that point, those folks are able to focus on passing the bar. They do that for approximately, I'd say 2 months. You take the bar, and then after you take the bar, you would then start to work with us. You would work with us in one of the 5 offices we have: Dallas, Austin, McAllen, Houston, or San Antonio. And so the thought process being to provide us with flexibility, and obviously understanding that, coming out of law school, when you come out, you're looking for a job. So you have to be a little bit flexible. That's one of the things to learn real quick. And so that allows us to then give that individual an offer. If they decide they want to take it, that would be the process that we would go through. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it did in part. I have a further question. So if I were to graduate in December and I take the bar in February, from the period from February until July, would a candidate still have the opportunity to be a paralegal for that time until that cycle opens up? Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. One of the things you have to learn in business is what is called flexibility, right? So if you were a candidate that was graduating in February, graduating in December, taking the bar in February, then what we would do, if you were one of the candidates that's going to be selected, is we would work with you to say, okay, well, based on that, let's see whether or not we have any openings a little earlier than when we had planned to, which was more so in the May-June timeline. So at that point, we'd make the adjustment, and everything I just said would kind of move up a little bit more so.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, Erica Diaz had a question.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you all for meeting with me. Sorry, I have a mask on. I'm indoors actually. So I just had a question as far as the mentoring program. I know you spoke a little bit about it, but in particular, like, are you assigned to a specific attorney, or are you able to mentor with various attorneys in different areas of the law with Allstate? Can you speak a little bit about that?
We actually have, we have a formal mentoring program that usually comes out, I think it's in April or May of every year. They come out and you can sign up to either be a mentor or mentee, depending on your level of experience. And in that situation, I've done it before from them being mentored, where, you kind of talk about what your career goals, what you're looking for. I believe it's been a while since I did it. You fill out a questionnaire of what your interests are, and they will match you with someone that can help guide you to the career path you're looking for. On a more informal level, I know within a lot of our offices in Houston, I think you do this, they kind of pair everybody up with another attorney in the office who's kind of your point of contact for questions. So if you were to start and you're new and you're still learning, this is like your little buddy that would kind of help you with any questions that you might have. A lot of times when we have new attorneys come in the office across the complex, what we do is the first couple trials you might have, or hearings or depositions or whatever it is, we don't just throw you out there to the wolves. We usually have another attorney go with you, or your lead counsel might go with you. And it's kind of like see one, do one. And then you kind of think, so you might go and observe for a while, then you would go and do one and have another attorney sit there with you, just kind of as the backup, might give you suggestions. And then especially on your first trials, we usually have at least another attorney there just for backup, especially if it's a more complex one. So that's more the informal mentoring type, but we do have a formal mentoring program.
Yeah, I think Idris and T, if you can kind of cover that.
Definitely. You pointed right when I was about to speak up. I wanted to add on to that because like Lisa said, there are 2 ways about it, right? There's that formal experience. Personally, I had that when I started at Allstate. I've been there for 2.5 years. And I think it was maybe sometime last year when the program opened up for me. I took advantage of it, and that led to building relationships with people, not only at staff council, but at corporate, where I'm talking to them about government and industry relation issues. It piqued my interest. I asked if I could participate in some of those projects and discussions that they were doing. He was more than willing to have me join in that sense. And now I'm having an opportunity through TDY to do a more long-lasting stint with government and industry relations. So there's that formal aspect and there's the informal, and it's really about the relationships you build. Fortunately, I've had a great manager, Satna, she's great, and we have a very good rapport. We have a good relationship where we're able to talk through things and things like that. And she's able to give me insight about how to do these trials, how to approach certain plaintiffs' attorneys and things like that. And just an overall idea about Allstate and the direction that we want to move when we're litigating these cases. And so I feel that I have the best of both worlds, where it's informal and then there's formal. And it's not just with my manager, but other attorneys at the firm as well. They're more than willing to help. They have a wealth of knowledge, more than I could ever have. And so I feel I'm never shy going to them and reaching out for advice and direction on the type of work that we do.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna piggyback on to something that T made reference to earlier. What do you need? Even when it's not your formal mentor or the person that maybe you've been assigned to in the office, when you walk up and down the halls or go through the office and you need something, the counsel level, the senior trial attorneys, they're all willing to help you, provide guidance, give you sample motions, how to interact with a particular judge, what to expect. Again, it's really a great culture at Allstate where you're never gonna feel left alone. You're always very supported.
Thank you. Mr. Brown had a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that it? Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. I had a question actually about the internship that's on our Simplicity at TSU on our website. There's a opportunity to work with. It says to reach out to Mr. Sean Proctor, and I wanted to know: is there any opportunities, even though it's remote? Are there any opportunities for locally here in Texas to have an internship for 2 Wells?
So yeah, those are 2 different tracks. So we have our staff counsel track, if you remember that list that Alicia showed you. So we have the corporate side, and then we have the staff counsel side. What we've described today is the staff counsel side. Sean is in charge of the corporate side. And so that one there, they are looking at 2 Ls on that side and would go through the process of interviewing you. In the past, they will typically work with our interns on the corporate side to make sure that they get exposure to the staff counsel side, but they have different elements of the corporate side that are exposed to the intern. So it's not, you may do 2 weeks in one section, 2 weeks in another section, and 2 weeks in another section, usually in that time frame. And the objective being to give you that exposure all the while observing you in terms of how you interact and how you're able to digest the information. The last part I would bring up on that is when you're done, they do inquire from you, which one would you like to move forward with? What's the area that you really have an interest in? With an understanding that you'll start there and you may go somewhere else within the organization. What we like to do is really drive diversification of your understanding of different practice, because it makes you a more well-rounded attorney and gives you more value add in terms of if you stay with us or if you go somewhere else. So to answer your question, definitely apply for it. I think it's a great opportunity. I want to add last piece when you talked about like coming into the office. One of the things we did in staff counsel is we, throughout this COVID experience, is we made decisions in certain offices to go completely virtual. So we have employees that work from home. We have situations like our Houston office where it's 25% reduction. It's only 25% of an office now. And our support staff may come in maybe 2 or 3 times a month, but the attorneys are more so operating from the home base, doing what they need to do to go forward.
Thank you. And then in regards to career as staff counsel, I've worked in insurance before, actually, as a sales agent. I'm not going to mention my insurance company, but I was licensed for home, auto, and life insurance. And I wanted to know, does that have any bearings or give you any, career advantage, once you become a staff counsel? Is it really just, doesn't really matter? or would you say would you get relicensed, to become in counsel?
Can't answer the relicense piece. I'm pointing because I'm pointing at Anthony Getty. He's a perfect person to be able to answer that question for you because he's had multiple roles.
Yeah, I would tell you that it gives you an advantage in terms of after you have the role. I won't speak to Lisa and her team in terms of hiring, but I would tell you that once you're in the role, having a broad-based knowledge of insurance practices has been really helpful. I spent the first 11 years of my career with Allstate in claims, first as an adjuster and then as a CSL, a manager. I managed a claims unit. And so when I made that transition over into staff counsel as a lawyer, I just had a better understanding, one, of the terminology that we deal with all the time. And secondly, it just improved my relations with the claims partners that we interact with on a daily basis.
And I think, Janine, you have some experiences outside of insurance, but it still comes in handy from a customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Any working knowledge that you have when you come to this job is always helpful. So again, not speaking to the hiring part, but just once you're here, a large part of the learning curve is just understanding the terminology, understanding how the things work on claim side, because staff counsel's position is really unique, especially if you're handling third-party cases. You're representing the insured, but you're also representing Allstate in the sense that our communication with them is constant. Based on the size of the policy, they control the settlement up into a certain number. So constant communication and making sure that they're aware of what's going on in all of our cases. So it's really important to be able to communicate with the claim side and communicate effectively. And certainly knowing their perspective, knowing how their side of the machine works can only help you become a better lawyer as far as building your relationships with claims, which is vital to our position.
Wonderful. And then I see Nicole Hill has her hand raised.
Hi, good afternoon. So I had a question in regards to trial and how one could be prepared. So I know that the company basically offers in-house training in terms of getting you prepared for trial. However, is it more so for a more attractive candidate to be expected to have some type of trial skill when applying for this position, whether it be working in the defense clinic or having moot or mock trial experience?
I mean, I would say that it doesn't hurt. Yeah, that's definitely something that, what we look for when we're hiring is, especially if you're hiring someone out of law school, we look at a lot of things. We look at the experience, but we look also more so what kind of eagerness, what are you bringing to the table personality wise? Are you going to be a good fit? Like you've heard us all talk today about how Allstate's very collaborative, very, we're willing to help. What can we do to help you, kind of thing. And so when I'm interviewing candidates, I'm not, I want to see that you have an eagerness, that you have a willingness to learn, that you're a self-starter, that you're, so someone coming out of law school, to me, obviously mock trial, that would be helpful and beneficial. But at the end of the day, a lot of these skills are still, everyone has to start from somewhere. And, especially when you're coming right out of law school. I mean, everybody comes out of law school, unless you've been interning, every summer, which, to be fair, when I went to law school, I did a 2-year track in California at law school there. And I didn't have time to intern because I was literally going to school full time. And so I would say, yes, that kind of experience would definitely be taken into account. But for me, and what I'm looking for is just more your drive, your willingness to learn, your eagerness to, just absorb the information that we're giving you, because we've had a lot of attorneys come in who maybe didn't have all the trial experience that we would have wanted to look for, but we can train them up. That's a skill set you're going to learn. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just to say a little bit about that, I actually came from family law, and in New York, as a divorce attorney, 100% of our trials is to the bench. In staff counsel, we do jury trials. So it's more, it's two very different things. And, Allstate still hired me looking at my personality, looking at my drive, even though the experience was a little bit different area of law, different type of trial. And as T said, I cannot stress enough how much my managers, my colleagues really helped me grow. I got to observe jury trials before I actually got to try one. And in my first jury trial, somebody was sitting next to me and giving me tips. Actually, in New York, we're allowed to walk around the courtroom. In Texas, they don't let you do that. So my very first jury trial, I stood up and started walking around, and my poor colleague sitting next to me was looking panicked, hoping that I didn't get taken out by the court officers. So, but they enjoy those learning cards. It gives us good stories, and you have so much support. So definitely, if you're thinking about applying for the job and you haven't done, trial team or a moot court or something, don't let that discourage you, because you never know who's sitting across the table and who, what they're looking for. So it's always worth putting in the resume.
I actually was going to ask a question along the lines of what Nicole asked. I'm interested in hearing maybe from everybody on the panel, if you have one or two skills that you believe would make a 3L candidate a valuable addition to the team at Allstate. And Lisa probably has already answered hers, because I heard her say eagerness and willingness to learn, confidence. I'm just interested to know if you guys have any other things that you're definitely looking for that you think would be an asset to someone looking to join Allstate.
I'll start. As usual, I'm not, Gerard had to look on his face like, oh, Getty's getting ready to talk again. I think you just need to be, eager, anxious, and not afraid to come in and say, I don't know something. No, we'd rather for you to say, I don't know, and ask the question and figure out how to do it than come out there and try to wing it. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. But you just want to be eager and hungry. And the reason I say that is a lot of people say that they want to have trial experience until it's actually time to get them and have the trial. And then you find out that they're just afraid of that. So just be ready to come in and don't be afraid. Just get out there and have some fun with it. I mean, I really want to emphasize that when you come in the door at Allstate, you start handling these cases. It's very exciting to be able to start from ground zero, get a case that's your own, and be able to try it. You get to look at it, prepare it, and decide what kind of story you want to tell. Decide what you're going to say to convince that jury to see things your way. And it's very exciting. And so just come in with that enthusiasm, come in to be innovative, and just come in and be ready to have fun, because it's a really, really fun job.
I'll agree with Anthony on the question thing. That I don't think, I have a philosophy, and I tell all my people this, I don't think there is ever a dumb question. I'd rather you ask me a dumb question and let's just figure it out. Rather than not ask the question at all. It's all about learning. And so I totally echo that. I think that, it's always good to get questions, and that's how you learn.
Yeah, I'll try to capture this in a way that helps you guys, even with us or with anyone else, because that's where Kristen is coming from. Kristen's trying to make sure you're able to grasp when you interview, how do you communicate and what are we looking for? So flexibility, the willingness to make yourself uncomfortable in terms of change. What we're looking for as a company right now when we hire attorneys is a comfort level with technology, a willingness to think in the future and see trends and be able to analyze data, because it's not only just being a lawyer anymore. You've got to be able to analyze data. And then the last piece I put out there is being a people person, because ultimately when you're in trial, you're selling a story, your client's story. And so your ability to interact and engage is going to be something that we'll be looking for.
And I think Anthony kind of hit this on the head, but I would emphasize a willingness to have fun. Life is short. You have to find something that you like to do, something that excites you to get out of bed and do on a daily basis. And if you do that, success is going to follow you no matter where you are. Your path will it will lead itself. I know some folks, and I used to be that way. You have a list, got to do this by a certain age, by that age. It doesn't necessarily work that way. But if you're having fun, you find something that you like to do, your career will excel. Other people will enjoy being around you and want you to be on teams with them, so you get many more opportunities. And because we try so many cases, Gerard kind of touched about that a little bit. I mean, trial's a popularity contest. In the first few minutes, the people on your veneer panel look at the attorneys, look at the clients, they decide who they like. And then when there are ways that they can tip in one way or the other, they try to decide, you know what, how can I make this fit for the person that I like? So if you're willing to have fun, be yourself, and enjoy the process as you go along, they feed off of that sincerity, and you will see more success in trial, just like you will see more success in your independent work and work when you're working, in collaboration on agile teams. So just be you, have fun, and enjoy it.
I'm sorry, Janine, did you want to go?
Just to make sure, time check, it's 1 o'clock, so Kristen.
And I'll keep it very short. I think what I learned on this job and what's benefited me the most is something I learned from being an alpha when I pledged in 2007. It's being able to walk with kings, but not lose your common touch. And I think what's been said across the board is being able to relate to people. I grew up in Garland, Texas, and when I go talk to these folks in Dallas County, they see me as one of them. And I live in Forney, that's Kaufman County, and I can say when I'm in a Kaufman County court that I live up the street, and something about these medical bills just doesn't make sense. And they're able to pick up on that. And so being able just to communicate in a way that people can relate to has been better than any trial experience, mock trial, or anything like that in my career.
Well, I thank everyone for participating on the panel. It's been very informative. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to having a lot of candidates participate in the OCI interviewing event on October 1st. So we will post this video on our YouTube channel, and my office has the email addresses of the team members involved in this video if anybody wishes to reach out. So with that, I will end the panel discussion. Thank you all, and have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.